stuff like that, so we can make sure we address those bugs. And I think there's a few other things, but I'll pass it off to Josh.
Okay. What did I do this week? I got a bunch of post-it notes. Hold on.
Well, here, while he's looking for his notes, Michael, intentions, distractions?
Oh, sorry. Distractions. I'm just a little bit tired today. Intentions, just have a good meeting, and hopefully we can address those Lumios that I've posted. And back to Josh.
Cheers, Mike. Yeah, hopefully you don't feel too tired. I edited some wiki copy. I went to block changes, Nature 2.0 thing that I was talking to Griff and Bowen about earlier. It's a giant kind of commons-based hack. I got to know the organizers of that, both the person organizing the hack and the person facilitating the hack, whose name is Jan something, and you can find out more about him on Nature 2.000. I did a comms meeting. I checked the peer assist thing that Michael suggested. I quite like that. The lightweight framework. Did GovLab. Responded and thing. Talked to Michael about monetization. Read about knowledge management. Participatory orgs overview and taxonomy. I went through that page. What's his name? Alan from Blockstream. Christopher Allen, that's his name. But he's also an IIW guy. Learned about meta collaboration, although I don't remember anything about it, so I didn't learn much, obviously. I spent a bit of time editing final requests on Wiki, and then went off to learn about Mimblewimble and Ghost on the 8th of Jan. Talked to some people, and then more Wiki stuff. Yeah, so that's everything I've found anyway. My distractions are... What are my distractions? Don't have too many of them yet. And my intent is to figure out how to move forward on things. I'll pass over to Danny since she's on my screen.
Hello, I'm just mildly distracted because my last meeting ran a little bit late. So I'm showing up mildly distracted, but shifting my attention here so I can take a look at these Lumios and participate fully. It's a beautiful day. Am I the last one?
No. I can go. Oh.
Okay, great.
Okay, yeah. So, and you did intentions, distractions? Sorry, I was distracted.
My intentions are to put all of my focus here right now and take a look at these Lumios and vote and participate. And I'm just distracted because I was late from my other meeting and want to finish up a couple things there too.
Cool. So then, yeah, this week I had a pretty light week. I was really focused on Argon DAC stuff, and but did work with Jeff a little bit on the token bonding curves. Watched a lot of Zargum talking when I could to kind of catch up on their research, and also have made a couple DApp issues and been playing with the DApp, trying to push through a multi-sig transaction, which is sadly difficult, but I reached out to RJ and hopefully he'll sign it. Yeah, I think most of my efforts have really been focused on getting this Argon DAC block proposal through, which I think was a great success. And intentions for the meeting, just to have a quick meeting and maybe have a strategy fireside at the end, if or something along those lines. And then distractions, just hanging out with Lorelai is always a distraction. You know what? I'll pass it to Lorelai.
Okay. Hey y'all. This week, let's see. Well, for this meeting, I'm not very distracted, and I'm just intending to have a simple meeting here. And this week, I continued facilitating the Unicorn DAC, and it's been getting more dialed in every time. This is the first week that I think all of the delegations got out before Tuesday, and that feels like a big win. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't make a list. I'll pass it to Bowen. I already said my intentions of discussions.
Alrighty, here we go. This week, during my normal security card duties, I found out that distributing payments of DAI and Ether at the exact same time and the same thing actually works, which I didn't know that it did, and it's awesome. So, like a single process can send tokens and Ether at the same time. I started working on a couple of little minor upgrades to the bridge monitor, which should it turn out, it should be pretty awesome. In social coding, we reset the meeting dates for the social coding sync. So now this week, this Tuesday was one. So Tuesday after next, there'll be another. Setting up a list of who's currently active in social coding and what their projects are, and staying on top of Riot, during my waking hours, as it were, and dishing points, all that kind of stuff. And like Michael mentioned, we had a call about the Mozilla talk and recording it and different ways to go about that kind of thing. As far as the meeting, let's do it. Let's make it a good one and get it going. And I'm just distracted by trying to prioritize the DApp issues in the Lumio. And I will pass it on to Chris.
Okay. First of all, I can now see that we're live, so it did work in the end. Hooray! So that's good news. So my intention for the meeting is just to have a good and efficient meeting. Looking forward to a fireside chat. It would be good maybe to talk about the call that you guys had, that Michael mentioned, with the sort of Shark Tank for social events, because I'm interested to hear more about that. Distractions is that I was working on the wiki, and it's still very much in my head because there's something strange that happened. But whatever. So what did I do this week? I worked a little bit on Aragon, just reviewing Flock proposal together with Griff, but that's less relevant here. For Giveth, I worked a lot on the wiki with Josh. So I did reviewing of the work he did, answering of his questions, and then I continued working on this. We did a few of these back and forths. And so today I wrote the final introduction pages for the different circles. So actually it's ready to push live, completely ready. I think I just sent a message to Kai for him to do a final triple check to be sure. And then we need to change all the links that we will have broken everywhere on our Medium and on our website. What else? Announcing and the holding of the comms meeting. I checked the Giveth 1 document that Danny created and gave some feedback there. I attended the GovLabs meeting that Kai organized. Discussed a lot of things with many different people in direct messages. That is just like, and then filling my own milestones that I created previously. So that was a lot of administration that I did. And that is it. And I give it to, is there anyone left? No, I think that's
everyone.
Yep.
Yeah, so we have a pretty easy meeting. There's really only one major topic, which other than, of course, go in and vote on feature and bug prioritization on our weekly poll that Michael does. Thank you so much, Michael, for making that happen. And the other Lumio thread had 2 votes. The first one was GovLabs meeting, and it seems like there is already a GovLabs meeting. We can talk about that if you want, although Kai pushed that through. And the other topic is Mozilla. So, and this interview, which is really cool. Does anyone, we don't necessarily have to talk about any of those, although I'm pretty sure Michael wants to talk about the Mozilla one. I'm not sure.
Yeah, sure. I mean, and I just wanted to mention too on the prioritization for next week. Now that I've labeled everything, I'm going to label the issues whether they're a bug or a feature, so we can see the distinction. Right now, they're just listed with the title and the number, but I think that could be useful for people when determining the prioritization. On the Mozilla stuff, yeah, I mean, I think we've discussed it before. Essentially, so Mark's going to come and talk to us. I just wanted to, I talked about the format with Bowen and Chris this week. Essentially, I think we'll do is a kind of quick introduction. And I don't know if Griff, I don't want to burden Griff. So, I mean, I'm happy to give the introduction to Giveth or Bowen. But you've got the background obviously, and then I would conduct the interview with Mark with some kind of questions that we as an internal team would have discussed, that we agree this is something we want to get out of this call with him, and then open it up at the end to anybody who wants to kind of pose a question. And I think the idea is that Chris was suggesting that we do it as a Google Hangout, but we broadcast it live on our YouTube stream, our YouTube channel, so that anybody in the world can kind of watch the stream, and then we'll have moderators watching the chat room so that they can grab questions and pose them to Mark. And then Bowen is going to take that feed, and then he's going to put it on the decentral podcast afterwards. And we'll just make sure that we record everything locally. So that's the idea. So all I wanted to do is just get ideas for topics, because really, it's really for us to get as much out of this as we can. So that's really the main goal. There's a side opportunity here too, which is, since we've got them, who knows, maybe there's an opportunity to collaborate around social coding, stuff like that. Mozilla's, this is what they do. They back open source projects, like the kinds of stuff that we're doing. And I'm just curious to see, where they're headed in terms of the blockchain space. So that's really it. Just, if you have an idea, a topic, something like that, just throw it in there, and then we'll kind of group them or rank them. So I've left it open till the middle of next week.
Hey,
yeah.
Do you guys want to do a reaction round really quick?
Well, it's not a proposal.
No, but it could be like a quick brainstorm, things you want to hear from Mozilla guy. And then this is the only thing we got, so on the docket. So I think it'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was actually just actually wondering if it wouldn't be useful to just do this live now that we add that we think of some questions and that we put them in the Lumio right now, so that we do that is the sort of reaction round.
Sure.
Just a proposal.
Seems safe enough to try to me. So we add another option for questions. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I guess we're gonna have everyone open the Lumio, and we click add another option and brainstorm some ideas on what you want to hear from Mozilla guy.
Yeah, and while people are doing that, I'll just recap the ones that we've got. So one topic I thought could be useful is, growing the Mozilla network. How did they grow from, a small group of people to what is around 10,000 people around the world that consider themselves Mozillians? And there may be things that we could learn from them about how they grew that network into this worldwide thing. And I think there's definitely some opportunities for Giveth over the coming years as it people come and go through Giveth, but they really associate with Giveth, and they may want to, I don't know what we would call them, but that could be something that could be really valuable to us. And the second one was just around blockchain, and I put a link to their report. They are extremely interested in all things decentral as well, that you'll see if you read that report. So it's really be interesting to see, where they're headed in terms of blockchain, because I think it fits dead center in terms of their values and their interest to keep the web an open and decentralized space. And then I think Lorelei added one around culture, and how does the culture in a company promoting freedom access differ from others you've experienced?
Yeah. Okay, Michael, I'm just want to note that I found it hard to find the Lumio because I don't understand why it's in the GovLab meeting thread. I feel like these interviews maybe have their own thread.
It should have been, so yeah. The problem is when you create a new thread, I actually just want to create a poll immediately, and it seems to force me to create this thread thing first, and then I go back and I have to create the poll as a secondary thing. So I thought I could cheat and just go into one of the existing ones and create a poll. Yeah, so that's why it's there.
But it's definitely a lot easier to find if it's in a thread that's like that tells you what kind of polls are going to be inside of it.
Yeah, sure. I can do that for the next one.
Create like a 2-sentence thread, and then
Yeah. For sure. I can do that next time.
Huh. I mean, I think it kind of fits. It's like a governance circle meeting, right? Kind of.
What?
It's a governance meeting. Okay, cool. Did everyone put something in or come up with anything? I came up with something. I did funding open source projects, their successful models.
That's a good chat. Yeah.
So is it? I have a quick question. Is this the Mozilla Foundation?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just double checking because.
Is his title executive director then, or?
Yeah, I guess his label is executive director or CEO. I'm not sure what they call him. He's a very interesting guy. He's a huge open source geek that's been around for 20 years doing open source before anybody else was. So he was a huge open source advocate in the early days when open source just got started.
I added one there. Dealing with overbearing employment regulation. That was one of the worst things I see happening in companies.
Yeah, that's actually maybe good inspiration for us, Michael. If you can tell us a little bit more. You say, for example, now that you mentioned open source, that he was, so we can ask if you have more information, like who is the guy, and like what does he do exactly for the Mozilla Foundation? If you explain that a little bit, it will inspire us to get more questions, I think.
Okay, well, his background. Do you want me to say it now or just?
Is his name Chris Beard?
No, that his name is Mark Sermon.
Mark Sermon.
And yeah, that's the question. To maybe now give some background.
Yeah. Okay. So how I know Mark is, so he came from a group called APC, which stands for the Association of Progressive Networks. Basically, it's kind of a decentralized group of nodes that are sort of all independent, and they work around the world, and they work on issues related to internet or IT and sort of just helping people in the not-for-profit space. So they might build tools, they might build community. So so then he moved on to IDRC, and he was part of a group called telecenter.org. Telecenter.org was, at the time, there was all these telecenters, or these are just sort of, could be a little shop that is offering internet access in a developing country. And their thinking was, we don't need to, create more telecenters. What we need to do is create community around those telecenters, so those telecenters can talk to each other, share their problems. What could make a telecenter a stronger telecenter? Bringing content that gets people interested in using telecenters. So he's another alignment with us is that he's a huge community organizer type person. He believes in community as a means to solve problems. So that's why I think he's been so successful with Mozilla, and that he's brought that kind of community angle to the organization, and he kind of is just trying to build up the people within that network to motivate them in order to become to champion those values. And Mozilla Foundation, what their value is strengthening the open web. They're trying to counter the kind of centralization of tools like Facebook and Google, and they're trying to create alternatives that are more user, that are community oriented and community led projects. So that's his, that's why I think he will really like Giveth, because it kind of fits into the same mode of thinking that that he has. So that's where I think and he's based in Toronto, Toronto and San Francisco. So they kind of go back and forth. And also just to say that his other background is they created a giant space in Toronto called the Center for Social Innovation, whereby any groups that want to be like a nonprofit, they created a giant co-working space there. So they hold like 500 different nonprofit organizations in one building. It's definitely the biggest in Canada for sure. Maybe even one of the bigger ones in North America.
Cool. Cool. Well, the Lumio's getting pimped out. I think that's the show, unless you guys want to debate GovLabs, but I think it was a pretty good showing for GovLabs. So.
I might put in a request for Ken then, for those that couldn't stick around, to maybe just try and move some notes around. I took note of mine. Unfortunately, I don't have the link, but there was some like unclaimed notes at the end of it that or action points. So the people that wrote that, we didn't know who it was and all that by the end of it. So maybe touch base if you wrote something. Sorry, Danny, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I just looked up Mark on Wikipedia, and there's a really great summary of the books he's written about evolving community beyond the virtual space and things like that. So he's definitely much broader than Mozilla. There's a lot of different areas that we could tap into.
Nice.
Very cool.
When is
Yeah.
I haven't. So what I wanted to do was get the questions from us first, and I thought it would be useful to share those with him. My thinking was to do it about 2 weeks from now, or maybe a week and a half from now, so that just we can make sure we've got everything set up. But we'll see what his secretary says. So he told me to, or admin assistant, he said to just coordinate with her in terms of a time. But that brings up a question about time zones. Mm-hmm. Is there a preferred time then? Like, this is pretty late for you, Griff and Chris and Lorelai.
But yeah, we'll be back soon. Well,
next week is our last week.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, for us, at least Chris and I have, for the most part, been staying up pretty late anyway. Like, 4 a.m. is pretty standard.
Okay.
I have calls till 4 a.m. tomorrow and most days, honestly. So.
All right. So I won't worry so much about that. The other thing I just wanted to mention too, just to, is if you guys have other topics, to go back to that Google spreadsheet that I created. So if there's other speakers, I think Josh, you had mentioned some people that you were thinking that you might want to engage to come and chat with us. And I think Griff too, you know, tons of people in the Ethereum community, obviously, that could be interesting and that are inspiring for Giveth as well. And Danny, I think you mentioned some people as well.
Yeah, I've actually reached out to a couple of people and asked them what are their burning topics that they would want to speak to us about. So I kind of went around about it the other way, and I have 2 people and some topics that I got back this week that I need to put into the spreadsheet.
Okay, super.
And I just wanted to say, when you get a little bit of the final list, Michael, of questions, what we can maybe do, I don't know, did you say that you wanted to send these questions to him beforehand or not really?
I mean, I always think it could be nice so he can be prepared. I'm not seeing anything there that he couldn't just answer on the fly. So
yeah,
I could go either way with that.
Yeah, no, the only reason I'm asking is I would say in any case, before that call and before you possibly send them to him, what we could do is just go through them and edit them a little bit and see where we can make a link with Giveth, because it would be cool if we like promote it a little bit and we will have people who are like, hey, an interview with the Mozilla director, interesting, I'm gonna listen to it. Then when we ask the question, it would be good that we always like make a link back to why this is interesting in relation to Giveth, that we just added it into the question.
Yeah, I agree with that. And sorry, that's another reason why I wanted to wait a week is just so if Chris and others are promoting the event in our social networks, people have a few days advance notice about that.
Yeah, and timing wise, I guess it's probably indeed like if you say in 2 weeks, that might be a good thing in the sense that we're then between, well, it's going to be the week before that we're in Berlin for Aracon, so that week we're probably pretty available, unless Griff has other things there.
Yeah, the 24th, basically the 24th to the 27th might be a little busy, but other than that, should be easy.
Okay. And Griff, would you want to, I mean, I think it would be useful for you to just say a few words about Giveth because you have that background, right? And it's even your background is, as I said, I was watching videos of you talking yesterday. It's very fascinating. It'd be great to kind of explain where did Giveth come from? How this is what Giveth is, and we came from this, the white hacker group and all that stuff. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I'm very happy to be part of this interview. It sounds really exciting. I really want to read his book, honestly, or at least like get some clip notes or spend an hour trying to get whatever information I can on it.
Well, the other one that was sort of well known was he did some work with the Clue Train Manifesto. I don't know if you guys have heard of that one. That's worth checking out as well.
Cool.
Yeah, and actually, I don't know how you see it, Michael. If you hold on to like doing the interview yourself, if you don't really care, Griff is always a good interviewer. But then, of course, it depends if Griff wants to do that. I just wanted to like put it out there because whatever you guys prefer.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to let Michael take it. Like, you actually know this guy, right? Like, he's your buddy.
Yeah.
So can't beat that.
I can do it. I mean, I sort of internally feel like you might be better at it than I am, but at the same time, I feel like you got so many things going on that I don't want to burden you with anything else, really.
Yeah,
so
I'd be happy for you to do it. I mean, and then if I'm there, we can also just have I can always talk a little bit too, like, or ask follow-up questions on the side,
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
So yeah, hey, we got 15 minutes for fireside chat. Does anyone have any topics, burning issues they want to address?
Yes. Well, not burning issues. I just wanted to ask. So the first call with the people from Human Ventures was about the fact that they want Giveth to be the platform they use to create a sort of Shark Tank for nonprofits that will be a huge show, and that could be a nice promotion for Giveth as well. But that's the last thing I heard about it. But it seems it evolved a little bit. So I just wanted to know could you guys maybe give a short update on like what the next steps could be for that?
And this is Onward Labs that you're talking about, not Human Ventures.
They're the same, or they're linked, right? I don't know. They're both are linked, but
They
because
Do you want me to speak to that?
Sure.
Human Ventures is the venture capital firm, and Onward Labs is their blockchain-specific laboratory where they're developing projects on the blockchain that are funded by the pool of investors that is Human Ventures.
Okay.
That is so funny because Kai works with a group called Human Ventures, and I'm sure it's a very different group.
Yeah, these guys are in New York.
Yeah, Kai's guys are in Austria, so.
Yeah,
So,
they're really awesome people. They've been just I don't know, Danny, like I think they've just been the alignment is great. They're great to talk with. We're going to get back to them next Thursday, so we need to regroup here a little bit to respond to what they're suggesting. And just to be clear, yeah, so Onward Labs is facilitating this. So they're not the project, they're the facilitator of a project that's going through Onward Labs, which is this Shark Tank kind of thing. So that's why they're saying to us they're interested in this project, but they're not limiting it just to that one project. They're looking at all the things that Giveth is doing, and they're seeing opportunities with social coding as well as another opportunity. So I think what they're really interested in doing is building a long-term relationship with Giveth and starting with this project.
Cool.
Would you say so, Danny?
Yeah, there's definitely 3 different tracks that are happening with them in these conversations. The first one is a very specific one for a specific project that they have, and that's the Daniel Pinchbeck project. And they want to use Giveth and basically have like a white label version that is token based. Then there is the long-term project or collaboration where they have other projects that could also utilize some of Giveth. And more importantly, they want to support Giveth in our long-term goals, building out the DApp, getting the UX better, having it to be, and to integrate some of those governance procedures that we're also doing. So those are their 3 different areas of interest. Basically, they just love the DApp, they love the community, and they see an initial way that we can work together on one project. They have another project that they're also interested in, but then building that long-term collaboration. That's an umbrella over all of that.
Cool. And
Awesome.
so for the Shark Tank project, what are the next steps there? Do they want to because is it, I still didn't understand completely. Is it like a sort of television show, or is it like an online campaign? How is it going to work?
So there is they call it a show. There's a show and there is a platform. So it's an interactive platform for the audience who's watching the online show to see the game changers, what projects they want to promote in the world, and then to vote on them with their tokens. So they start out with a pool of tokens. They use those tokens to say, these are the game changers that I really like. They can invest those tokens either right into the game changer as like a delegate of a DAC, or they can choose specific milestones and particular projects that they want to fund with those tokens. then the more they vote, then they generate more tokens. And there's a pool of fiat currency that's being put in particular, so there will be a value. And at the end of the season, that pool of money that's been generated, part of that goes back to people who are token holders, and they gain more tokens, but through more participation, through simply voting, or also through engaging in an interactive platform with video and asking questions, getting answers from the game changers, helping the game changer improve their project by engaging with it participatorily. Does that make sense?
Yeah, nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
And do they have a timeline?
And the next steps?
Yeah.
Yeah, so your other question was, what are the next steps? So in our last couple of meetings and conversations, we've lined out kind of where Giveth fits into the interactive platform. So there's two approaches that can be taken, and Michael and I will work with Wojtek to put together what would it take to meet the technical features that they need, where are areas that we're deficient that we would need to add some developing time to bring up those areas. And there's an initial way we can do that, which is to bring up the game itself as a DAC and have the game changers have campaigns on the DApp itself right now. That's like a low-hanging fruit. So there's things that we could do to improve the DApp itself so that they could just come aboard. But the long-term goal is to do that first and then to create a white label version for the biggest risk, for the game itself. And so we're going to put together a proposal as to what that would take from a development perspective on the back end and front end. And then they can take a look at that and decide between providing development support and providing funding to our own developer pool, how can we accomplish that? And obviously the time is going to be dependent on how many people and how long it takes to make these improvements.
Cool. And
Yeah.
do you think, sorry, Griff, go ahead.
Is Wojtek thinking about doing this on top of RSK, or would he be interested in XDAI?
Yeah, we're going to put together multiple proposals, the different ways that could happen. The one thing that they did say is they do not want to be limited to Ether, and that they need to be platform agnostic. So it's being a token model, and then how do we translate those tokens so that people can buy the tokens with any type of currency and get back whatever type of currency they want.
I mean, that's really easy to do in a centralized way, right? Like, you buy tokens through, you have your own platform where you receive Bitcoin, PayPal, whatever, right? And then you send tokens to people. And then,
right.
But what I really like about XDAI is the native currency is a stable coin. So you don't have to worry about all the fluctuations. And we can create tokens on top of XDAI really easily. They have a good block explorer. You know, it's, I would say that there's a good opportunity there. And we want to move to XDAI as well. So
I suspect, Griff, that, well, they've already mentioned about, fiat. They mentioned about, people using fiat. I suspect that there's a lot of people there that would prefer a stable coin anyhow, not just, something that's very volatile because of the projects themselves for their own planning purposes. It's just easier at the moment with this volatility. Tomorrow they're going to send us their timeline. So they're meeting with the group, the Shark Tank group tomorrow to get an idea of, what their plans are. And then they're going to get back to us about that. So I can share with.
Oops, we lost you, Michael.
Yeah, they sent us over a beautiful spec, and we'll share that with you guys. I can forward that. I'll probably plop it into the DAppDev Google folder and share the link.
Awesome.
But yes, I do not think that, I can't speak for him, but I think that the RSK has its own pool of projects that they want to have up on there. I don't think that Wojtek would see this as something to put on that. What I do see is that his process of creating that native deployment on RSK can be replicated to create a version for them on either our platform or building something that makes sense with the stable coin.
Yeah, and if they want to do voting and stuff with tokens, we are working really close. We are really close to having a solution with Aragon. But honestly, like, and I think that it would be really cool to go that route, to try to make, you know, what we want happen, which is Aragon interacting with the DApp on XDAI. It seems aligned with their vision. So if you guys, hopefully I can make some of these meetings. If you guys can help push it that way, that would be cool.
I think it would go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, like, they basically, you know, we were going over their minimal viable product, which is less on Aragon, but the previous meeting we had, they had also been exploring Aragon. And so they are very interested in the kind of DAO stuff that Aragon is doing. So they want to get some initial features there, but I think I raised that in the meeting about some of those other features that, you know, Aragon could bring to the table, and they're very interested in that as well.
Very cool. Yeah, because I'm pretty confident we will be working with Protofire. Like there's a crew who's also a validator on the XDAI chain that really wants to launch Aragon on XDAI. So, and they would do the whole deployment and all the grunt work there, which would be really valuable. So we can make that happen. And yeah, all the pieces and parts are, you know, I've been trying to align this for a couple months now. So if that it goes that way, it's really easy.
Yeah, I think it would maybe be a good idea that once that we set some time apart, Danny or Michael, next week to go through everything that we have from them and discuss some more about like the strategy. Because what I heard from Abby is indeed like the idea of what they propose to Shark Tank, etc., is because they studied Giveth and they really put us as like what the DApp is currently capable of. They put it in the logic of the proposal. So they indeed really like us. They're a fan of us, and this could indeed be an opportunity for us to combine the things just that Griff also just mentioned, like okay, our DAOification of the DApp, and like how we want to evolve further to maybe get some funding through. Well, hang on, I want to say this clearer. We can use the funds that they would give us to make the development for their game to actually further the development of the DApp and provide us with funds that we currently do not have. So if we play this right, this could be a huge and very positive opportunity, I think, for the DApp evolution. But then we need to come prepared with a good battle plan. And yes, indeed, it could be on XDAI or something else. And they came to Giveth and not to Giveth one. So I think that's an important thing to indeed like lead this thing ourselves.
I totally agree with you, and I think that's I think that is a huge opportunity to push the XDAI that XDAI part of the piece, a part of the puzzle with them, and if they would be interested and willing to be part of that, that would be absolutely outstanding, I think.
Yeah, they'll need the action speeds and all that. They'll need that change. Okay, so we've hit 7 o'clock. Is there any other fireside topics that we should cover before we go on our merry way? Okay, cool. Guys, I'm sorry I haven't been around much lately, but so checkout, we're doing checkout. Thank you guys for a great meeting. Sorry I haven't been around this week. I have a lot to check up on. I know tomorrow I have a lot of meetings, so I'm excited to kick the week off. And now that the Aragon plot proposal is set in stone, I'm really excited to kick some ass this week. So. I'll hope to talk to you guys later. Lorelai?
Yeah, this whole informative fireside chat we had here, and I'm really excited about these creative like funding sources. So great job, everybody who's reaching out and making connections. And and I really like this like hangout and work together thing. You guys probably noticed I put a message in the unicorn chat about that. I'm gonna host a couple times tomorrow where we can all just like come in a Jitsi room, hang out with Lorelai, and work on shit. Do your roles, processes, and I don't know, talk about unicorn funding and see what it's like. What do we do? What do unicorns do? Really, because I'm a baby unicorn. What do you guys do? Help me. Anyways, yeah, it's my little plug. I hope that some people will hang out with me tomorrow, and I love you guys, and I'll pass it to Chris.
Yeah, thanks for the nice meeting. It was very informative, so thank you for all these updates. So my request is then maybe if I think for this this idea of the Shark Tank stuff, that could be a nice opportunity for the DAP team to shine and to come with a very focused proposal. So looking forward to maybe a meeting next week or the week after to get together and work something out that is really very solid. And you can I'm very willing to help in any way I can, and I'm sure Griffith too. And Kai sends his love and greetings just live in the chat because unfortunately he couldn't make it. And thank you, and I give it to Bowen.
Well, thanks for the great meeting, guys. I'm about to go catch up on a bunch of stuff that didn't get done yesterday, I'd love to know if anybody else is going to ETH Denver also, but I guess we can bring that up. I know you're going, Griff. We had to talk about it, and you too. So I got to get that app filled out, and I will see everybody on Riot, and I will hand it over to Michael.
So yeah, thanks. Great meeting as always, and also thank you for taking the time to provide some feedback on the Mozilla questions. I really appreciate that. Also looking forward to catching up with everybody in Riot and pushing forward this Onward Labs proposal with those that are interested to help to move that forward. So with that, I'll pass it over to Josh.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, lovely meeting, guys. I just been a bit distracted taking notes, but otherwise, I had a great meeting. Lovely to hear about all this Onward Labs Shark Tank stuff I had no idea about. That kind of then fills out the XDI chain and the RSK holes in my head, so that's also quite nice to know about. And yeah, thanks. It was a really good meeting. So I will pass it over to whoever's left. Which is Danny? Danny, I think I'm done.
Yep, I'm here. Yeah, thanks everyone. Excited to explore more about that Onward Labs collaboration, and also we don't really talk at all about like the issues that are on the DAP. I guess that's kind of a thought that I have is as I looked through those issues, it feels like it might be good for us to have a little conversation around some of those issues that people are having at some point. I'm going to share the link to that user feedback form. Some users have provided some new feedback, but that can help us with that prioritization. So yeah, thank you all for being here. Is there anyone who hasn't gone?
I think that's everyone. So
all right.
Good night. Good morning.
Take care, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.
Goodbye, everyone.